Good afternoon and welcome to another Wilkes Wednesday webinar. I'm Margaret Steele, Chief Development Officer at Wilkes, and it is my honor to hold responsibilities for university fundraising, alumni engagement, and the respective stewardship of those relationships and those donations. Our upcoming seminars, which continue through most of June, are available for viewing on the Wilkes Alumni Association webpage. It has been our pleasure to bring a variety of topics to our alumni through this webinar series. And quite relevant to today's topic, we want you all to know that Wilkes University should always be considered a trusted source for information and for learning. And while you may no longer be a registered student for classes, you are still one of our own, because Wilkes is clearly a special place, a place where you as alumni may turn in times of uncertainty, and a place where you also have the opportunity to remain a relevant part of solutions for future generations of students. We are working very hard to prepare a safe place for our students' return, and hopefully, within some short order, a safe place where you as alumni may again return to gather and celebrate all that is Wilkes University. We still have high hopes for homecoming, scheduled for October 2nd through 4th, even if it requires a modified environment in which to gather. And we also hope that you will be able to join us. Rest assured, we will make the very best decisions based on accurate information and with the assistance of community partners, alumni, experts, and friends. So now let's get to our webinar. Mary Simmons is our Associate Director of Alumni Relations. In addition to holding responsibilities for alumni engagement activities, she's also helping our Wilkes community to stay virtually connected. Mary will facilitate our webinar today. Mary?
Hi. As Margaret mentioned, I will be facilitating the webinar today, and I have a few notes before we begin. All participants are in watch mode. We still have the capability to be interactive. And in fact, we encourage participation. So please use the chat box to drop your name, class year, maybe even where you're from, so we can see who is here today. Just remember to change your setting to all panelists and all attendees. Additionally, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen if you have a question at any time for the presenter to answer. I will moderate those as they come in. We will begin the webinar today by running some poll questions, so please answer those when they appear on your screen. And now I would like to introduce our presenter today. Wayne Lonstein is an expert in content protection and crime detection through understanding piracy for over 30 years. He has correctly predicted many trends and patterns in the field of content protection, threat detection, intelligence, anti-piracy, monetization, and social media. An accomplished litigator, jurist, technologist, and author, he is a co-founder of VFT Solutions, a forward-thinking company that believes that public safety and intellectual property is best protected from the bottom up. He has represented many content owners, broadcasters, professional athletes, and entertainers. He has invented patented and award-winning anti-piracy, anti-crime technology, written extensively on the blending of technology and brick-and-mortar solutions to protect content. He has appeared as a speaker at industry conferences and on television as an expert in content protection and technology. He has authored many articles on technology and has co-authored 3 textbooks on unmanned aircraft systems in cyber domain and counter UAS technology. He is a member of the Forbes Technology Council and was named Outstanding Alumnus by the Pennsylvania State University World Campus Graduate Programs for 2019. You should see polls appearing on your screen, and Wayne, I'll allow you to take it away.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here and see so many friendly Wilkes faces and some folks who are not in the Wilkes community. Certainly honored to be here today. Just so you know, In the background is a ridge in the Shawangunk Mountains of New York State called it's called Sam's Point, and in the 1600s, actually, the legend goes that Sam jumped off that point and survived after a confrontation with some local natives, and now it's a great hiking spot as well as a world-renowned hang gliding spot. So we certainly welcome you all to visit sometime. It has a lot of similarities with the greater Wyoming Valley area, and the mountains are very, very similar. So with that being said, I'd like to commence by first of all thanking everyone for appearing today, and we will start with our slideshow because that's always a good place to start. And bear with me one second. Hopefully everybody can see that now. And I will get rid of my camera. There we go. Okay. So in this particular time, many of you are struggling to find out in your own lives, in your children's lives, in your grandchildren's lives, and in your parents' lives, you know, what's true, what's false, and what can I rely on? And just today, we are seeing a tremendous amount of social misstatements on social media. Forget politics, but just about the data from the pandemic. I know that in New York and Pennsylvania especially, facts are hard to come by because there's so much out there we don't know if they're facts. And it becomes confusing for the lay person and for an expert. So a little bit about VFT Solutions. We were founded, really I've been a practicing anti-piracy attorney for 35 years. And in the mid-2010s, around 2015, live streaming started to occur, which is where people can actually, in a live setting, tell us what's going on, what they're doing, and share it to not just one person, but to the whole world. In fact, we have seen streams go from one viewer to literally millions of viewers in less than 1 minute. And that's just on the streaming side. Obviously, the concept of tweets have their own sort of viral spread. And these are some of the recognitions we've had, especially in the pay-per-view space. We were able to identify 132 million viewers illegally on the Mayweather-McGregor fight, which is, if you did the mathematics, was a $3 billion loss of streaming revenue to social media piracy in just 3 hours. And we're proud to say that the Senate Judiciary Committee has, through our client, which is the UFC, actually used our data and continues to use it to demonstrate how big a challenge social media presents to the particular rights holders, but also to every one of us on each and every day, because what happens is we lose perspective of who's viewing it, not just who's streaming it. So I'll pause there. We built this technology, but we built it on something that is sociological and psychological. And it's very important because it explains to us why people act differently online. And Dr. John Suler of Rider University in 2004 wrote The Online Disinformation Effect. What drives online piracy? Well, it's simple. You don't know who I am, right? Or at least you think. We have technology that can tell us. But as you move around the internet, you feel less vulnerable because you think that you're moving in the ethers, in the shadows. And that makes you kind of brave. And if you feel that you're not known, that means you can't be seen. So being secretive and not being able to be seen also makes you worry about getting caught. And while most of us have good intentions, something weird starts to happen to our minds when we don't get instant feedback. And that's called asynchronicity. People don't interact with each other in real time. So it may take hours, minutes, days, or even months to reply. Or in the case of, let's say, the horrible Parkland shooter, since nobody really paid attention to them, what happens? They start to escalate and they start to build a sort of anxiety and anger, which makes them say, okay, if you're not paying attention to me, perhaps the next thing I do will make you pay attention. And that also ties into a lot of Gen X, a lot of millennial and other groups that are more game friendly. So they believe they become an avatar and it becomes very virtualized. So they feel that brick and mortar consequences won't occur. Instead, what they think is going to happen is it's just another game, maybe points, and maybe some invisible bad guys will get shot. And how does it spread? Well, we call this the push notification. On your phone, you will get notifications, not a text or not a email, but rather it comes to you saying XYZ is live. It could be as simple as this particular webinar. And this is how it spreads globally. And this is why social media is a viral concern. So somebody can be streaming a concert in New York City, boom, 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 all over the world. It's almost like the old movie War Games, for some of you who may remember back that far, where the map just proliferates. And we saw an actual Beyonce concert in 2017 from Georgia, from the old Georgia Dome, go from 0 to 5 million users in less than 3 minutes. That's viral. So now let's take into the post just streaming world, into the current world of COVID-19. Because of that anonymity online and the fact that in essence, it is impossible for the social media companies to really monitor who the streamers are, you can see countries like China, Iran, North Korea, and non-state actors such as terrorists, counterfeiters, or just plain criminals using social media as a tool of disinformation and weaponization. During the pandemic, this was a live stream on YouTube. As you'll see on the left, there were 81,000 live viewers of this particular stream, and our technology pulls these off. But in this chat stream over on the right, look at some of the inflammatory comments. The world has come to an end. The UK only has 400 oxygen places, rest in peace. And I know that if you're like me or my family, that's concerning because you may think that it's not relevant, but it does cause panic. It causes alarm, and it causes you to question what's right or wrong. And this is just data that supposedly came from somewhere, but we've seen that a lot of the data was actually inflammatory and very incorrect, and that causes distrust. In addition, what else is going on is people were using social media to promote fake cures, scams, medication, price gouging during coronavirus. And we actually did some testing with the CDC to use our patents, which insert messages into social media, to help in real time correct the disinformation. Now in COVID, that's important, but in the real world of a brand that may have selling products online or that is streaming paid for video or audio or even ebook contents, the ability to react in real time becomes a very powerful tool. This particular stream over here is coming out of what appears to be an FDA approved rapid testing kit in Manila on May 18th. Now you say, well, I wouldn't order it online and I wouldn't go there. But remember, a lot of the world doesn't think that way. And a lot of the people today, especially online, younger folks, believe a lot of what they see to be true and don't become critical consumers, but rather accept it's there and it's online, it must be safe. Some of these tests could give false positive rates, false negatives, and certainly treatments can be deadly. And talking of treatments, this is on YouTube. This is also from the Philippines, and this is something we captured. This is a doctor in the Philippines. And as you can see, he found the cure with an antiviral injection. And what's really troubling is the laws of the United States don't stop somebody in the Philippines from doing something else, whether it's true or not. And so viewers are left with a doctor who's claiming that he cured it. In fact, he's using his United States patent screen to document for everybody that it's safe. And he references the US Patent and Trademark Office. And finally, he says that the FDA has approved the cure. In working with the CDC, they have worked with the Filipino authorities to have this taken down and a lot of the references to being a COVID cure terminated. But the damage is done. Hundreds of millions of people were left with the impression. Also, we monitor prisons and we monitor worldwide occurrences live, so our technology can capture 500 streams every 15 seconds. So this particular inmate is putting out fear that COVID is killing everybody in prisons, which can then result in public riots. This is a prison in South America where inmates are dying, the public is screaming, and what does this do? This can threaten law and order, it can threaten society, it can threaten all of us. Seeding unrest is something that a lot of state actors and non-state actors continue to do, and as we get into the 2020 election season, you can most assuredly know that there will be tons of this online. So, why is it that social media companies are really not doing anything about it? Well, it's good for their business. So, some of you may be familiar with a character known as Alex Jones. And this particular streaming channel, though taken off everywhere else, still ends up online. And when they get to the discussion of COVID-19, they will tell you what's going on in their view by little snippets.
Open. This is a blue state Democrat power grab than holding the president hostage. That's why I said it's so dangerous 8 weeks ago, is the crisis and the shutdown they're going to create. And how they're going to say Xi Jinping did a great job, the dictator China, but America and Trump did a horrible job. This is a dangerous situation, but I got some really good news this morning. You all know that
here you go. And this is the reason why they're doing it. They're selling their food supplies for pandemics and other sort of disasters. And clearly those prices are a little hefty to survive. So it happens in a lot of places. So again, I go back to why is it allowed to happen? And the problem is, and this goes back to my law training and probably some stuff I learned at Wilkes from Bob Freisinger back in the day about the First Amendment. And the First Amendment protects us against censorship, and we have a right of free speech when it comes to state action, federal action. But Twitter, Facebook, Google, and all those companies are not state actors. So what they've done is they've created an oligopoly where most of the information you want to get online has to go through their particular portals and their platforms. And what does that result in? They don't have to worry about censorship. They can censor it themselves. And Congress currently has given them an exemption that was originally given to Microsoft and the very initial ISPs who said, listen, if people are posting things on our internet connections, we can't be held liable. Well, Congress extended that to social media. So they have absolutely zero liability for anything that goes on their platforms. Censorship is what they're doing. So many people will tell you, and I know it's Judge Brandeis who once said, the cure for hate speech is more speech. But when it comes to social media, the cure for hate speech can be censorship of conflicting views. And who is to decide what the conflicting view is? Short of violence, espousing danger, or treason or sedition, it's a really sort of American revolutionary concept that we still have 240 something years later, that we're allowed to speak just like any other person in the world. So during the pandemic, we started to correct it. And what we did is we identified the streams on our technology. We would then transfer it using a message to go to the CDC to actually see what's happening and not rely on the fake news. So this is an actual insertion you'll see on the bottom on a periscope in March. And that is our message being inserted automatically. There are 251 viewers because this is another information purveyor who says, the world is coming to an end and, believe me, I know what's going on, when actually he didn't know what's going on. We were able, with just 100 messages, to get hundreds of clicks, sending them to the CDC, the Lancet, and the World Health Organization. And forget about the particular issues about the legitimacy of those. We're able to get clicks from 47 separate countries, 6 content, and the amount of viewers on those streams were in excess of 15 million viewers. So we used our technology to demonstrate and to create a positive global response to message insertion. And of course, from a business aspect, we also do it for anti-piracy and other activities that go on.